Can everybody hear me? Okay, good. All right. The title of my speech is The Few, the Proud, the Class of '96. Ladies and gentlemen, parents, grandparents, friends and family, faculty, administration, former and future PHS graduates, etc., etc., etc. The few, the proud, the Class of '96 would like to welcome you all on this 21st day of May, 1996, to celebrate yet another class that has survived 4 years of torture here at PHS. If you don't believe me, just ask any one of my fellow classmates, and they will tell you it was colorful. First off, I believe about 5,000 trees were used for paper and pencils among the students who enrolled in Miss Carr's college prep English class. By the end of the third quarter, our fingers were permanently locked in the note-taking position. We had to write several of the dreaded 5-paragraph essays. This is quite a tedious task, as several students just recently turned in their Macbeth essays, which were due in December. We also had our fair share of pain in our American government class. I feel especially sorry for those students who had the dreaded Miss Smith for their teacher. The horror that these students face is unexplainable. I was lucky enough to have the nice teacher, Miss Sims. For those of you not familiar with the American government class, don't worry, it's just the politically correct version of the oh-so-feared Constitution class. Oh, the memories. The tour of the State Defense Building and trip to the Capitol that we went on was so graciously paid for by the National Guard. It was a very nice gesture on their part, but I don't know if it was worth it. First, we boarded a khaki-colored reconditioned prison bus. Once we started heading west, our suspicions that we were being taken to Fort Leavenworth Penitentiary were now voiced. After touring the State Building, we ate our weight in food at First Cafeteria, paid for by, of course, National Guard. I don't know about all of you, but I had to eat a lot to meet that quota. Then we toured the Capitol and came home. Well, maybe it wasn't all bad, but if you had to take all those notes in college prep and Constitution, you'd agree. I do believe we started our freshman year with a class of 143 students. At one point in time, we had as many as 186 students. Now we're down to in the neighborhood of 90. Not too good, considering the average withdrawal rate for a public high school in Kansas is only 5%. That gives us a withdrawal rate of about 35%. Hence the name, the few, the proud, the class of '96. That cute phrase is a direct quote from a friend of mine, Josh Simons. Thought I'd throw that in there. I'm not exaggerating. If you don't believe me, talk to Mrs. Hickman. She can verify these statistics. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to degrade the class of '96. In fact, I think that it shows we're a class of unity. Those of us that are left have formed a bond that no other class has. We all get along. We may have our own cliques, our own group of friends we hang out with on Friday and Saturday night, but it comes right down to it. We're all there for each other. That is what I love most about the class of '96. Not compared to last year's class, the class of '96 has not had a whole lot of good publicity. We had a big drug problem earlier on this year, according to the papers and stuff, but now that it's gone away, either that or you just don't hear about it as much. We also have a lot less classmates than we started out with. We weren't state football champions or state basketball champions. We didn't get a state runner-up in wrestling like we did last year, nor did we have a coach named for Coach of the Year. Despite all these odds, the class of '96 has accomplished a lot. To the people on the outside, it seems as though the class of '96 does not really matter too much. But if you read the fine print in the paper, you'll notice that the forensics team captured their 15th straight league title. The wrestling team was the undisputed league champions, meaning we won a league tournament and all league duels, and placed third in state. The theater production of The Visit was also nominated to perform in state conference, putting on a great performance considering they were pressed for time and forgot to pack makeup. The band and choir once again received a 1 rating in state. Even without last year's talent, our football team advanced to state semifinals. We only lost 1 game the whole season. Not bad for a team that was picked to accomplish nothing. The fans that showed up were extremely supportive, even in the last game. And I think the reason the class of '96 has accomplished so much is that we have a bond like no other class. We'll always be down for each other, through thick and thin. Now, even though the students of the class of 96 have been a success, we'd have never achieved our goals without the support of the administration and our loving and caring teachers. We all remember Mr. Locke running up and down the track with the PHS flag every time he scores a touchdown. I'm sure he'll be missed by next year's squad. Our teachers, especially Miss Carr, Miss Smith, and Miss Sims, were always there to help us. On game nights, they would purposely overload us with homework. I guess in some sick, twisted little way, this is supposed to help us cope with stress or something to that effect. All it did mean was that the next day we didn't have our homework done. Ha! We showed them! Truthfully, I would really miss a lot of the faculty, especially Miss Coates. She taught me a lot about acting and forensics, but from her classes, I learned a lot about myself. Miss Carter's college prep English class has helped prepare a lot of us for the next 4 years of college, but most importantly, it's helped prepare us for the rest of our lives. Miss Sims and Miss Smith have helped us with our duties as citizens. Thanks to their American government class, we've registered to vote, participated in the voter survey, and learned the laws of our state and nation. This class, too, has helped prepare us for the rest of our lives. Other teachers who have made learning at PHS enjoyable include, but are not limited to, Gore and his current events class. Yes, the class where you watch TV and talk all hour. Would you believe some people don't even pass that class? Gore also taught me that it's okay to be a little on the heavy side. She has seriously been a great role model. By the way, Gore, you still all love you and I. All you can eat buffet dinner at a restaurant of our choice. Mr. Matthew, whose American history class has been one of the most positive classes I've been in. Not only is Mr. Matthew a great guy, but he makes learning enjoyable. Mrs. Rain, who was lucky enough to have me in her class 3 out of 4 years. English 1, English 3, and a teacher's aide. She made class time enjoyable, to say the least. A new face at PHS this year is Mr. Clark. He teaches fitness and psychology. Since I am already the most physically fit person I know, I only enrolled in the psychology class. It is doing great. We learned a lot about crazy people and eating disorders. But most importantly, we learned that Iowa is God's country. What he said. I would also like to extend a special thank you to Mrs. Brown and Mr. Marriott. With their help, a few more people graduated this year that would not have otherwise. That wasn't only the teachers that made these 4 years of PHS the best years of my life. The administration was a big help. Mr. Jeffries, our vice principal, always there to have a laugh with us. Then again, he was always there breaking up our fun, helping us with poor little freshmen. Jay, as he is more commonly known, has also given us a few helpful hints for our next fishing expedition. Mr. Morris, who is not only a great wrestling coach, but a great counselor, provided us a place to escape when we didn't want to go to class. Speaking of wrestling, it was a great 4 years, filled with lots of memories and sometimes pain. When I was a freshman, Scott Henry picked me up off the mat by my nose. But now that we are seniors, it was our turn to dish out the pain. Sorry about the finger chomps. I think that any of us who's been on any team, whether it was golf, forensics, football, volleyball, has had a great time. Our teammates and coaches have been wonderful and provided a lifetime of memories. Now I would like to extend an apology to the freshman class. This year we were a little rough on you guys. 2 weeks of nerd pong, taping you guys to the stalls in the senior bathroom, and dumping you in the trash cans. Now I've learned this is unacceptable behavior and will not be tolerated. But darn it, it wasn't fun. Please, kids, do not follow our example. My experiences here at PHS have had a tremendous impact and influence on my life. I think that all of us are now better people for having been here. I'm really going to miss this place, but now it's time to move on. Emporia State will be my home for the next 4 years, and I hope it will be as enjoyable as my 4 years here at PHS have been. Before I conclude this speech, I would like to thank my family and friends who have supported every decision I've made. My mother and stepfather, who were always on my case about doing my homework and keeping my grades up. My father and brothers who live in Wisconsin called me every Sunday to check up on me and to support and encourage me. My grandfather, who taught me how to play chess, said, always have a plan and think a few moves ahead. Well, this strategy applies to chess, but most importantly, it applies to life. Oh yeah, Grandpa, the scientific name for grasshopper is Amocestus vertilis. Inside thing. My grandmother taught me a lot about history. I remember when we'd sit for hours just talking about these old times. I'd also like to give an extra special thanks to my boys in the SSLB. Thank you for being down for me and supporting me all the way. We all accomplished this together. So let's get the heck out of here and begin our adult lives. But first, let's party.
At this time, we will be entertained by a number of our high school band.